more things freaking change, the more they stay the same. So I would not consider this day one of the bulk. Really, I'm in a little bit of a pre-bulking phase, where I'm a bit more concerned with getting all this excess water off of me. Because I can tell the rebound from having really dried myself out like that, I'm definitely holding on to an extra, or at least at my kind of like most swollen, easily an extra 10 pounds of water. Which is like, I mean, how many gallons is that? 1.5? 1.5 extra gallons of water. And I can tell it's like that little layer of, skin above the muscle. Extra kind of puffy or whatever. But once that's kind of back to normal, which same thing happened after that Vegas show, should only take a few more days. Plus, if I do some sauna action, that should probably help kind of get me back into my regular flow of things. Then I would say the bulk will have kind of begun. But today is special. I'm only ever going to have one of these lifts. And you know why that is, right? That's because this is my first arm day as an official IFBB Pro, right? Maybe I should get a full-on emblem, put it right here as the air freshener as a little reminder. That might be a little too much, but yeah, that'll be fun. So I say that with an asterisk, because there is definitely a hierarchy to the pro level of, we'll just condense it down to the classic physique bodybuilding world. And, well, to put it bluntly, I'm at the lower echelon of, all of the current kind of, at least active kind of pros out there. But that is fine by me, because I know I've got some gains to make. And I got not sorely reminded, but definitely reminded of just how far above these real top guys are at the classic show on Friday night, because I got to sit way up in the front and see, Mike Sommerfeld, Logan, and everybody else running around, routines, full-on pose down. Oh yeah, definitely a bit bigger, and definitely came into stage a bit leaner than me by a few body fat percentage points. But that's for me to figure out later on. So if I were to describe my game plan, it only takes 2 words. It only actually takes 2 words to describe it in pretty much totality. Get bigger. And luckily, I feel like that's maybe not my forte, but at least my calling. So I do not have a problem with that. I've got in terms of looking at it as a competition standpoint of critiques, a lot of posing work, a lot of comfortability, and just, overall prep. But there's one critique which I am absolutely excited to jump on fixing right now, and that is just having more mass, thicker hamstrings. Nobody called me out for my calves. I didn't see a single calf comment, so I guess they're at least reasonably sized. But I definitely want some bigger calves. I mean, I said this. I was talking to some guys at the signature line that we were doing earlier today. And they're like, all right, Sam, what are you working on when it comes to coming back for a pro show? And I told them, like, it doesn't take long before I've basically just listed off every body part I've got, because I'm talking, all right, I want bigger triceps because I want them to hang down lower in my front double body shots, bigger chest, bigger quads, bigger hamstrings, a wider back, thicker, more detailed, probably some broader shoulders, bigger biceps. I mean, just bigger everything, Shoulders, though, are a bit ahead of the game, right? So shoulders aren't a glaring weak point or anything. So they'll probably still be on the back burner. Like a full shoulder day will be kind of few and far between on this bulking phase. But the rest of everything else going to be hit hard and consistently, just like normal. And so we're going to get back into the swing of things. One thing about legs, though, legs will definitely be a heavy quad focus day and then a lighter, maybe heavier hamstring focus day in alternation. I used to think, well, if I'm hitting legs, just hit the whole thing, right? But legs is kind of heavy enough and stressful enough on your whole system that to do excuse me, to do like a really crazy day of leg press and Smith machine squat, or maybe barbell squat, or whatever, you know, pendulum squat, even after a full rotation of hitting other body parts and letting my quads rest, it's not enough time to really let them completely recover. Because all those heavy leg press sets, they still kind of have some accrued fatigue, right? And if you hit your legs really hard, it will take a while. I'm not one to say that I need to wait 2 weeks, like you know, Tom Platz would say he only squatted every 2 weeks. I think that might be a little long for me, but probably every other loop of the workout. So more like one really crazy heavy leg day, quad wise, once a week-ish, and then more of an accessory pump quad day just to get some blood flow and activation in between. So that day will be more RDLs, I mean just a more intense hamstring day, and just a little bit of quad work to get some stimulus, right? Nothing crazy. But everything else, hard, heavy bench, heavier rows, pull downs, and not, you know, not that heft is the point, but of course now that I'm going to be fully carved up, just basically stronger with more muscular endurance, these lifts are going to be a little bit quicker, and I'm going to have a bit more to say about them, because I'll be running off of much more energy. I felt kind of bad. A couple of guys were asking me, "Oh, Sam, you know, when are you going to go back to the 30-minute videos? Some of these lifts during your prep, they were like, you know, you were posting like a 12-minute workout," and I felt kind of bad. I'm like, oh man, I just didn't have a lot to say. Plus, I was a little on the tired side. But no more. So I can finally check off that first phase of the competition goals, the pro qualifier, or actually, what would you call it? Yeah, I guess the national qualifier, check. That was the Legends Classic. And then the pro qualifier, check. Arnold Amateur. So since the pro league for my height class, which I'm clocking in at 5'11 and a half, that puts me at 217 in the amateur weight division. But when you're pro, you get an extra 10 pounds. So what that tells me is, you know, as much as the whole bodybuilding judging panel is, you know, your flow, your symmetry, your condition, how comfortable you are, how well you can pose, how well you're holding everything, how well you present yourself, don't forget the first freaking word, bodybuilding, right? If you're maxed out at your weight cap, you're gonna have a bit of a better edge. So that was why I waited so long for this first competition, because I wanted to time it right where I would be pretty much as heavy as I could get under that weight cap for check-ins, and then compete, right? So now I'm just back to where I was before. But now that the weight cap is 10 pounds of stage weight heavier, I've got a while, because 10 pounds on stage, that is a lot. So what that tells me is I've got a lot of room to bulk. But I mean, of course, you know that was going to happen anyway. So plan for arms, I'm talking tricep pushdowns, curls, rope extensions, preachers, potentially some machine action, and really just kind of whatever. I mean, this is not like a full throttle arm day, because coming after the show, or coming off of sort of a show prep with all that dehydration and everything, I'd say right now, this sort of week-ish, I mean, it's been a few days, but that's a very, you know, increased risk of injury when you're all kind of dry, not eating a ton of food. I've been getting like really good rest, but you know, tendon wise, pulling things, like I've been extra careful. Even like every time I swing around my luggage when I kind of packed everything up to go to the hotel, I'm using both hands to make sure I don't like randomly tweak my forearm or something, because the last thing I want to do is get hurt, and the even last thing that I want to do is get hurt doing something stupid like that. But I can say with certainty, with all the carbs and water I've got in my system now, this should be a pretty freaky arm pump to start this, well, let's just say pre-pro debut. But I think nothing else to discuss there. Let's just get in there. At 9:30 on a Sunday, this place should be freaking empty. Should have a whole any time to myself. All right, let's start simple. I'm like, oh my goodness. I don't want, like, it sounds kind of silly to say I feel like my old self again, but Oh my goodness. Like, my first instinct right now is to slap 2 plates on the side of this stack and do like nasty, heavy pushdowns. That is not what I'm gonna do. That would totally hurt my elbows because I'm not exposed to that much weight, right? Like, I just did 3 months of light squeezing stuff. First lift after the show, I can't just immediately jump to that level. So light squeezing rope extensions, but I think it might be a little more of an active thing than I would have expected to try to curb my ego getting back into this bulk. But I do have to ease into it because I'm not used to moving that much weight. You know, I got to progressively overload back to that state of things and get to a more, well, just kind of, what would you call that? I guess really just stronger state of being. Because right now, since I'm used to just the light squeezing stuff, I do have to keep it around there. Because I mean, if I try to go totally nuts and I pull something, right, that's a shame on me. 100%. But let's go as hard as I can with the weight available and get this arm day started. Yeah. Okay. Yeah. Let's do a triple style. So 3 sets of these, then 3 sets of a curl, 3 sets of another, or 2 sets of another tricep movement, back and forth, and then finish with a superset. And I think that will be it. And honestly, I might call it early because my triceps already feel like they're getting pumped after just that 1 set. Oof. Okay. Oof. Yeah. 1 more. Yeah, the rope ended up being perfect to start with. Okay. Whoa. All right. Let's curl something. Now I've got the dilemma. Do I want to do single arm preacher machine curls or easy bar curls? I've made my decision. So place your guesses now. See if you're right. So this will be a light squeezing one. Nothing too crazy. And I might pyramid up in the weight a little bit over these 3. Well, we'll start slow. Actually, that might be a perfect weight. Goodness. That was good, but I gotta grab a shorter D handle. This isn't letting me go as deep as I would like. One more. And then I know what the next tricep move is going to be. Similar to the rope, but a little different, a little funkier. All right. Let's get some extensions started. Cross body, if you already guessed. So if you've got access to two cables at, yay distance apart, I really do like these. Maybe a notch or two above shoulder height, light, and then a good squeeze down here. And the strength curve is kind of funky with this one because obviously at the bottom, the weight is almost like just being pulled through my arm, right? Like my tricep doesn't have to do a lot of work to hold right here. So I can really focus on squeezing. So this is almost like a dumbbell preacher curl where it's going to be heaviest in the stretch position and actually lightest at the top. Because right, when you're doing a preacher, obviously you can hold it at the top for a second. That's like the rest period or the rest position. And then down and down. Ooh, a lot of tension, holy shit. And as it gets moving, right, you can keep it actually contracting because it gets a little lighter. So it's almost like that, but obviously the tricep equivalent, if you catch my drift. But either way, only need 17 pounds for each hand. And this is going to be very squeeze focused. That's the part I really want to burn. Yeah. 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 Okay. One more of those. Ooh. Yeah. 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 Okay. Oh my goodness. All right, so let's stay right here, but drop the cables down. Do some single arm loaded cable curls. I think that'll be nice next. A little double arm action. One more of those. Let me scoot back just a few inches for this next one, though. Yeah. 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 Okay. Ooh. All right. I think I'm ready for a superset of a push down and a curl. And I think this cable machine will be the place to do it. Push downs here, curls here. Let me just swap out the attachments for the right ones I need. Rope extensions, bicep bias pull downs, back and forth until my arms are fully pumped. Then find the freakiest legging possible, hit some shots, see how we're looking pumped up, and get ready to get out of here and go to bed. I am gonna sleep incredibly well. I know that for sure. But one more. And let me pick a better song though. As much as I love Dirty Deeds Done Dirt Cheap. Oh my God. Okay. Holy crap. Okay. Oh my gosh. All right. I can tell I was using the lats to help me on those. We're done. Let's find some lighting. All right. So I'll get a little more of kind of that harder look as this excess water comes off me over the course of these next, I don't know, 4 or 5 days or so. But yeah, I'm already feeling much thicker in the forearms, only looking at them, not even at the upper arms themselves. So let's get a quick glance here. How we're looking fully pumped up. Oh man. Oh yeah. We got something going on for real. Let's see if we can start from the back. Oh, oh man. Oh, very nice. Yeah, I think I can say with certainty now, a front lat spread with a full-on arm pump is really cool for me. I'm feeling, obviously, not like him, of course. That's a completely different level. But that clip of Lee Priest posing outside in the morning after a lift, yeah, when I've got an arm pump and I hit a lat spread like this, it gives me a little bit of, at least in my eyes, some Lee Priest-esqueness. Because of just the kind of thickness of the arms like that. Oh man. Yeah, I mean, that's certainly good 2 hunks of meat right there, that's for sure. Oh my goodness. Dude, yeah, I feel so freaking swollen. I mean, that is just extra cool for me. Yeah, I mean, hell, I'm closer to that freaking Lee Priest side chest shot or side tricep shot than ever before. Still a pretty big gap, but yeah, we're getting there. And that's fully pumped, so you can hardly see some of the grain and detail that I've actually got back there tricep wise. Let me try to pull my arm behind itself. Oh jeez. Oh man. And this isn't even like fully carved up yet, because this is just lift number 1. But yeah, let's just say this: more size to come. And that's not a freaking estimation or a guess. It's a goddamn guarantee, 100%. But let's get back in the car. Oh jeez, I love being freaking pumped. That was nice. That was a nice freaking lift. Held it back just enough. I think I pushed it a solid amount as well. So now I get to sleep for what I predict will be a minimum of as long as necessary. As long as freaking necessary. And after this whole weekend of freaking running around all over the place, enjoying everything, yeah. Yeah. I think I'm gonna need some extra recovery. I might want to do, might go double tomorrow. Sauna after morning cardio, and maybe an Epsom salt bath in there too. Get some magnesium power, or magnesium. Well, you get the gist of what I'm saying there. See if that'll do something for me. But yeah, plan is now get back to basics, get some of this excess water off me, and we can get back to really moving some weight around. I'm talking skin splitting, eye bulging, vein exploding, steel crushing pumps. That's what we're all freaking about here. So my starting weight of this next bulking phase will be, once I kind of reach that equilibrium over these next couple of days. So I predict it'll be, I'm not totally sure. Maybe high 230s will be my new, like, carved up maintenance weight. So just from eating, 3,000, 3,500-ish calories per day. It should put me up around that number or so, and then I just get to climb it up from there. So same thing with the diet, where that first month of dieting after that last bulking phase was just back off, eat as much food as I'm hungry for, because I was just, pushing like 5,500 calories per day, which is not a freaking minuscule amount of food. Same approach with this bulking phase. Start slow because I want to leave myself room to increase my intake over time, because similarly to how if I want to lose body fat, I have to burn this amount of energy every day and consume this amount of energy every day, leaving this little gap, this little deficit, right? See what I'm saying there? Same thing with this bulk. If I want to gain weight, I got to burn this much energy, which is going to count as stimulating my muscle with these workouts, plus the cardio to, keep everything flowing nice and smoothly. Then I've got to eat a good chunk more, right? This would be the surplus. So as I get bigger, as I get more used to eating that much food, my body is actually going to start burning more energy on the regular and match that intake, because your body wants to stay in homeostasis. It doesn't really want to grow. And I mean, when you're a kid, of course it does, because you're reaching your full grown size. But once you're kind of a fully grown character, right, you're past adolescence or so, you don't really want to grow, and you don't really want to shrink either. Your body wants to eat the same amount of food, go to sleep at the same time, wake up at the same time, drink the same amount of water, do the same amount of activity, be consistent on the regular, right? That's what it likes. So to try to change that is going to take some serious effort on your end, and in my case, on my end. So if I want to break my weight plateau and continue gaining size, then I've got to push the envelope with those calories and give myself enough energy where I have to make use of it somehow. And if I pair that with hard lifts, hard stimulus, right, inducing some dang hypertrophy, then at least a good chunk of that excess calories is going to go towards new muscle. Now, some is going to go towards body fat deposition. It's just the nature of a bulking phase. You're going to get a little bit softer. If you really push it, shit, man, you might start losing your abs just a touch. But don't fret. That's just the nature of bulking, right? Don't lose sight of the fact that later on down the line, when you diet back down, you'll be bigger because of it. So that's the price you pay, being a little soft for a while so that you can be cool and lean later. At least as long as you're going to go through kind of a back and forth. So that leads me to the next point of don't bulk too hard, right? If you start gaining too much body fat too quickly, then that's an indicator you're eating way too much food than you really need to. Because as much as, I'm going to say, dude, eat as much food as you need to grow, which of course for someone who can't start gaining weight definitely is the case. For anybody who can eat enough food and can see steady gains on the scale, you don't want to overdo it, because this surplus, you can only make use of so much for a new muscle gain, right? And eating too much more than that on the regular, especially if you start pushing the envelope with like the junk food and the sweets and everything else on like a very consistent basis, you're going to reach a point where you're using this much of those extra calories for muscle growth. But if you eat this much, a lot of that is just going to get, put on as body fat, which is what you do not want to do too much, because then you're setting yourself up for failure and you're going to have to diet back down extra hard. That's the biggest argument against the bulking and cutting approach of, anybody who says, well, just main gain, it's way better. Why get that big if you just have to diet back down? Very good point. So that's where I would say make sure you bulk responsibly, right? Gain as much muscle as possible and gain as little body fat as possible. Now you're going to gain some. A reasonable amount is good. But if you start getting too soft, you could potentially waste your bulking phase, because if you actually stick to a hardcore enough diet to peel off that excess body fat, then you might start eating into some of those muscular gains that you put on. So sure, maybe you gained 10 pounds of muscle in that bulk, but if you also gain 20 pounds of body fat and you have to peel off 20 pounds of body fat, that's not a negligible amount. That's a good chunk of time that you're going to have to dedicate. I mean, a pound a week of body fat or losing a pound a week of body fat in a deficit, that's a pretty steep amount. I mean, that's not nothing. Like, that's consistent losses. Dude, 20 weeks, that's 5 months. So you might eat into some of those 10 pounds of muscle that you gained. So that's where, if you can bulk and you can eat enough food to gain weight, just try not to overdo it. I would aim for maybe a pound and a half per week if you could get up to there. But before you can even start making that kind of observation, go back a few steps further. Make sure you have a scale. Make sure you're checking your morning body weight after you go to the bathroom, before you've eaten or drank anything. Ideally clothless, so that you can be extra consistent, and then track that on like a Google Sheets or something. So, I mean, you don't have to be that tech savvy to make a damn graph out of a Google Sheets, and then you can track your progression. I've got one that I used to track a lot. I kind of stopped, so my graph is pretty sporadic now. But starting at 200, when I started bulking up, yeah, that's what it looked like. 200 to 230, then down to 215, then up to 245, then down to like 220, then, you know, up and down, up and down, up and down, up and down, with an average being a gradual positive trend line. So I'm going to start tracking that again consistently for this bulking phase, just so I can have the data to look back on and make adjustments from. But yeah, those are what I would really aim for, right? So to break it down a little more simply, shit, man, if you want to gain weight, you got to eat enough food on average consistently to make it happen. And if you want to lose body fat, you want to get leaner, same thing in reverse, right? You can't overdo it. And counting your calories, tracking everything, it will make it easier. And when I say that, I do not mean that you have to start tracking everything like a damn nutcase, like you're a Detective Monk, right? But I'd say download a dang macro tracker app. Any one, you know, MyFitnessPal. Personally, I've been using a stupid simple macro tracker because it's pretty simple. I can just plug in my proteins, my carbs, my fats. It's all right there, not too complicated. And that's you know, but that's not a specific plug. It could be any of them. It's all the same thing. It's pretty it's not really too special. But yeah, if you start tracking that sort of stuff and get your weight in order, and by weight I mean like your physical, like tracking your weight on the scale in order, then you should start to see some pattern recognition. Okay, I've been eating 3,000 calories. Huh. Yeah, I've been gaining about a pound a week. Nice. Keep it up. And then once you realize, okay, I've still been eating 3,000 calories a day, but my weight has slowed down. I'm only gaining half a pound a week on average over the last month. All right, maybe I should up my intake to maybe 3,400, 3,300, right? And then see what happens from there. So the main sort of theme and idea there is try something for yourself, do it consistently for at least a few weeks straight, and then see what happens. I think the guys who do the best and make the most progress in the gym and get a deeper understanding of how this stuff works are the guys who just get a practical understanding by doing it themselves, right? You're basically experimenting on yourself, right? It's like, okay, I want to see what will happen if I eat this much food every day, train, you know, minimum 5 times a week. I'd recommend maybe go for a 6, but that's dependent on your schedule and how much you can handle, or maybe how intense your weight sessions are, and see what happens. Now, if you want to have a good experiment with some good data to look at and look back on, right, you've got to do that experiment consistently, minimize variables, make sure that each day you're pretty close to that calorie goal, you weigh yourself pretty close to the same time, and once you start seeing like, oh crap, I started tracking my stuff and making sure I really ate 3,000 calories a day, I'm actually gaining a pound a week. What I used to think was a plateau is now me knowing I just wasn't eating enough food. And as simple as that sounds, to actually do it yourself and have it click like that, I mean, it will legitimately rewire your mind to have a better understanding of like, oh shit, that actually really works, you know? I think this is a perfect analogy. You could tell a kid not to touch the stove or not to touch the little like cigarette lighter in your car because it's hot and it's going to burn them. You could tell that kid 1,000 times, don't do it. And he's, oh yeah, okay, whatever. He's only really going to understand like, oh shit, that thing's freaking hot once he actually does touch it and gets burned. So I'm not saying that the actual tracking calories is like a negative thing like that, but it's like once you've done it yourself and seen that it works, I promise you will not go back. I swear, going through the process of tracking your stuff for a few weeks and noticing a pattern in your weight, that's taking the red pill. You will not go back. You're going to start to see things in a whole different light. And I know that sounds kind of like silly and cheesy or whatever, but I really do believe it. So for any of the non-trackers out there, all right, that's what I stand for, or that's what I would at least recommend you get into. And shit, man, could be I was about to say game changing. I was about to say either game changing or groundbreaking. They kind of got jumbled up in my mind. But either way, first arm day done. I'm excited for a freaking million more. So I'll see you for whatever lift tomorrow ends up being. So for anybody who's just watching this right when it gets uploaded, I just finished this lift like 20 minutes ago. So little instant kind of turnaround. But we'll get more of the more regularly scheduled lifts, more longer kind of stuff. That's coming back. This weekend has been rather hectic, but we're getting back into the regular swing of things. So I'll see you for whatever lift I end up doing tomorrow.